Mass shootings occur so frequently in the United States that the response has become somewhat predictable. Once the dust settles, we learn the identity of the perpetrator. And in particular, we learn his race, his religion, and his ideology. This weekend, it was yet another white nationalist with a high-powered rifle.
We're seeing bodies on the ground in blood because of a failure to get all of this stuff under control. And it is not only about the white nationalism and the hate, it is also about gun violence.
This is based on race and hatred, which would be white nationalist terrorism.
Call out white nationalism for the curse that it is.
Trump is responsible for this.
A toxic culture now in the United States around the immigration issue, around around the gun issue. And he has to bear responsibility.
It seems that there is a whole media script prepared for when another kook in his late teens or early 20s, who spent a lot of time reading Mein Kampf, finally has his homicidal meltdown. In fact, there was even a Democratic candidate who had a fundraiser. The right wing, however, was throwing its arms up, saying, "Don't politicize a tragedy. Let's talk about mental health." Funny, though, what does the right-wing media universe do every time the shooter turns out to have been a Muslim?
Islamic terrorists killed hundreds.
They do believe that this particular suspect may have leanings towards the ideology of the Islamic State.
He was turning the tables on us folks while basically tapping into our politically correct Islamophobic guilt.
But both the liberal and right-wing narratives don't exactly check out. For example, during the 1960s, there was only one mass shooting with more than 10 fatalities in the entire decade. The same for the 1970s. And there were plenty of guns back then and plenty of racists.
In the name of the greatest people that have ever trod this earth, I draw the line in the dust and toss the gauntlet before the feet of tyranny. And I say segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever.
Plus, it's been documented that from 1945 to the mid-1980s, there were millions of Muslims in the world, but zero suicide bombings. So what's changed? Well, it's the attention. The mass shooter is shooting their way to fame in a matter of hours.
This man identified as 21-year-old
white male, the suspect.
Politicians have been warning us about this for years.
This shooter wanted to be famous. Who makes him famous? Well, frankly, it's all of the television networks that go 24/7 putting up his name and his face.
Even the mothers of victims have been calling to stop it.
The contagion is a call to action. It's knowing that if I commit this type of violence, I will instantly become famous.
Now, back in the 4th century BC, a Greek man named Herostratus set fire to one of the 7 wonders of the world, the temple of the goddess Artemis. He did it to become famous. Well, the Greeks responded by making it illegal to even say his name. But it didn't work. He still went down in history as infamous for his criminal deed. And it seems like thousands of years later, we are still now dealing with the same problem.
It isn't just mass murders, it's violence in general. Everybody you talk to believes that crime's gotten out of hand, that the country's become, a much more violent place. Parents are afraid to let their kids go out on their own and do anything, even when they're 14 years old. They accompany them in everything. It's all supervised activity because people have this belief, which is totally generated by this focus on, every killing, every kidnapping, every, rape and murder in the United States. And it all becomes, because of cable, anything that happens anywhere in the country is on your screen wherever you live in the United States. So people think it's happening all the time, and so they all think they need guns to protect themselves. So it's it feeds on itself, and it is the media because it builds ratings.